Cherokee Nation put us on this reservation, took away our ways of life, the tomahawk and the rolling knife, took away our native tongue and taught their English to our young. And all the beats we made by hand are now a day's name in Japan. Cherokee people, Cherokee tribe, so proud you live, so proud you die. They took the old Indian nation, locked us on this reservation. I wear a shirt and tie, I'm still walking and left deep inside. Cherokee people, Cherokee tribe, so proud you live, so proud you die. Maybe someday when they learn, Cherokee Nation will return, will return, will return, will return, will return. Conquistador, your stallion stands in need of company. Like some angels held proud, you reek of purity. I see your armor plated breast, as long since you lost your sheep. And in your goodbye space, there are no signs never seen. Though I hope for something to find, I can see no. Yes, the one wine. Twisted door, the vulture sits upon your silver sheet. In your rusty scabbard now, the Santa's take a seat. And how your human rusty leg, as that thing is there. She has watched me rise to faith, take me out of spell. Oh, I hope for something to find, I can see no. It's the one wine, oh, I hope for something to find, I can see no. It's the one wine.
제조부터 판매까지 책임 관리. 이제 안심하고
My father married up your Cherokee. My mother's people were ashamed of me. My father married up your Cherokee. My mother's people were ashamed of me. The Indian said that I was white by law. The white man always called me Indian straw. Half-breed, that's all I ever heard. Half-breed, I love to hate the word. Half-breed, she's no person wrong. Besides, you're against me since the day I was born. We never settled, went from town to town. When you're not welcome, you don't hang around. The other children always laughed at me. Give her a feather, she's a Cherokee. Half-breed, that's all I ever heard. Half-breed, I love you. Half-breed, she's no person wrong. Besides, you're against me since the day I was born.
Okay, hi everyone, and that's a preparation for our next in-class exercise that we'll do on Friday, and no, on Monday, sorry, next Monday, on the 2-hour class. And so, but before I do that, and so I don't forget, let's go to the smart attendance for the class, and go to here, Cyber Campus, make sure I do screen share so that you can see, and the attendance for week 4, add smart attendance, and your number is 473. 473 is your number, 473. So I go to chat, put in 473, and there you go, 473 is your smart attendance number. And since I got us into the right mindset with the Indian popular culture, Indian songs, pop culture rock Indian references, maybe at this time we should go ahead and get prepared for the next class, in-class exercise, before we go to our debate on whether or not the U.S. Constitution failed. And so that means I have to divide you into 5 different groups. And so, and of course I have to remember which these groups are. And so let me divide you up into five different groups and just assign you automatically and rename group 1 Cherokee. Let me see here, Cherokee. And, sorry, Cherokee. Yes. Group 2, we will call Jackson Administration, Andrew Jackson Administration, and make that yes. And room 3 we'll call Black Seminoles, and yes. And room 4, we will name you Planters and Farmers, and yes. And 5, we will rename you Northern Missionaries. And okay, yes. And so those are the groups. And so I will now assign you to those groups. Well, let me take a picture so I don't forget to do this. Cherokee, so let me go here, go to foot camera and take a picture of the groups that you're in. And so that I remember for next class. And do it one more time. Okay, and so then we can open all the rooms. So please join your rooms. Please join these your different groups that you've been assigned, randomly assigned. So please join those groups. And I will send you all files now, and that you need to prepare for, to use to study, to prepare for the Monday class. And so please join the groups, and I will now join and send. So Cherokee, hi Cherokee. So let me send you a file for Cherokee, and let me see if I can do this pretty quickly here. Cherokee, all right, Cherokee. So those are the, so please download that Cherokee file, all of the Cherokee, you're in the Cherokee group here. And I'll let you read that. And now I'm going to leave the group and go back to, go to the other groups to distribute their materials. So I'm going to leave this Cherokee group and leave breakout. Go back to Jackson Administration, join Jackson Administration. Go to chat, Jackson Administration. Okay, my computer and Jackson Administration. Okay, Jackson Administration, and send you the Jackson Administration your file. And okay, so you can download that. All of you in the Jackson Administration, please download that file. I'm going to leave this room and do the other 3 groups now, which is Black Seminoles. And so join the Black Seminole group. Yes, the Black, their group and their file. And Black Seminoles is here, open. And there you get the Black Seminole file. And please download that for Black Seminoles. I'm now going to leave the room and leave breakout room, 1 or 2 remaining breakout rooms. And that is, oh yeah, 1 more or 2 more, Planters and Farmers. So join, go to, not that one, I'm going to go chat and go to chat and Planters and Farmers here. And there we go here. Okay, and please download your Planters and Farmers. Please download your file that I just sent you. And I'm going to leave that room, leave that breakout. Go last group, which is the Northern Missionaries. Yes, go to the chat there and send them the Missionaries and Reformers, sorry, it's Missionaries and Reformers. So Missionaries and Reformers is the name of your group, Missionaries Reformers. So please download that file. So those are the files you'll study for Monday's class. And then I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to leave breakout room. Close, what's this? I see somebody sending a message, what's this? Yeah. Well, reconnect then. Pyeongchang. All right. So, administration. Okay, there we go. Okay, I sent you that. Okay, and now I'm going to close all of the rooms, and you have a minute to download those files. If you haven't, please download your files. Okay. And I'm going to send one more file to everybody, which goes to everybody, covering the exercise that we're doing on Monday, which is Indian removal. We're going to debate and decide as the Congress of the United States in 1830, whether or not we should expel the Indians from territory east of the Mississippi River and move them all out to the west of the Mississippi River and take their land, take their farms, if they have farms, take their land and forcibly remove them all from what is today Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and force them and take their land and give that land to European white planters and farmers who want their land, the land of these Indians. And I'm going to well, I don't want to have a room. I don't want to make any rooms. So I'm going to now just close the rooms there. And now I'm going to send you another file to everybody, which if I can do that here, to everyone, send it to everyone. And here is another file, which I'm sending to everybody. And these are the problems to consider that all of you should download this file as well. And these are the problems to consider on debating and whether or not we should expel the Indians from the land that they occupy in the eastern part of the United States, or what is today the eastern part of the United States. So let me go to, let me open up that file and if I can find it here, problems. Okay, problems to consider also. Make sure I, let me screen share that. First off, let me, okay, so screen share, and we go here, problems to consider. I sent you this file, and it states here, okay, Indian removal role play. The year is 1830. So it's, 50 years after the founding of the United States. There is a bill before the United States Congress that would provide funds, $500,000 in 1830 money, which is a lot of money, I guess, in 1830 money, to move all Indians now living east of the Mississippi River to what is called Indian Territory, which is today called the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I think, is a word that means red man territory, something like that. Move them to Indian Territory west of the Mississippi River. The Indians would be given permanent title to this land. So the intent would be to remove them and promise them that they can have the land west of the Mississippi. They can live there in peace forever. And of course, later that, of course, the white people would continue to expand, including all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. So the Indians would be given permanent title to this land. The money would pay the Indians for any improvements made on the land in the east where they are now living. So they sort of would promise to give them some money in compensation for taking their land. It would also cover the expenses of their transportation and for a year in their new homes in Indian Territory. At least that's what the bill before the US Congress that Andrew Jackson is placing. And the US Congress, Andrew Jackson is the president of the United States, and I think he's the 7th president of the United States. And he is asking Congress to approve this bill, to approve the removal of the Indians. The US Congress has decided to hold hearings on this bill, and you are invited to give testimony. Each of the 5 groups are invited to give testimony and to question other individuals who will give testimony. The main question for discussion is, should all Indians living east of the Mississippi River be moved by force if necessary to the west of the Mississippi River to what is called Indian Territory. And questions for each group to consider in planning your presentation to the Congress. Do you support the Indian removal bill? Do you support this bill proposed by the US President, Andrew Jackson, to remove the Indians? What questions do you have for members of the other groups that will be in attendance? So if you're a Black Seminole, what other questions do you have for planters and merchants, missionaries and reformers, the Jackson administration, other Cherokee, and what will you do if Congress passes this bill? What will you do if Congress does not pass this bill? So at the end of the exercise on Monday, we're all going to vote as if we're members of Congress as to whether or not to approve the Andrew Jackson administration proposal to remove the Indians, indigenous people living in the eastern part of the United States who have not assimilated, who still have identities as Indian communities that live in communities, and then we're going to vote on whether or not to on that issue. So let me, I think I have one more file I want to send you all. And so stop share and go to chat and send another message to all of you, to everyone. And that is, okay, we go here, and just a second. I thought I had it here. Oh yeah, okay, here it is. So please download this file as well. And let me open that up a bit. I think I sent you the wrong one. Yeah, I sent you the wrong one. One more time. So a file to your computer, and see, it doesn't look the same on the Zoom as it does when I look for it on my computer. So that's why I'm a little bit having to work to find these files. Okay, here it is. There it is. Okay, so that's the file to download. And let me open up that file. And so here is Andrew Jackson's presentation to the US Congress, asking the US Congress to approve his proposal to move the Indians, forcibly expel the Indians to the west of the Mississippi. And so it's a short speech, written message. It's a message to Congress. He didn't give it as a speech. He sent this message to Congress, and it's not a long message. He writes, "It gives me pleasure to announce to Congress that the benevolent policy of the government steadily pursued for nearly 30 years in relation to moving the Indians beyond the white settlements is approaching to a happy consummation. 2 important tribes have accepted the provision made for their removal at the last session of Congress, and is believed that their example will induce the remaining tribes also to seek the same obvious advantages. It's good for the Indians," he's arguing, right? This is good for the Indians to move them. "The consequences of a speedy removal will be important to the United States, to individual states of the United States, and to the Indians themselves. The pecuniary advantages which it promises to the government are the least of its recommendations." Of course, the government will get more resources as well, of course, in the form of taxation and the like. "It puts an end to all possible danger of collision between the authorities of the general and state governments on account of the Indians." So the state governments, in particular the southern states, and the people living in those southern states want the land of the Indians so they can grow cotton, and particularly cotton in that territory, in the southeastern part of the United States. "It will place a dense and civilized population in large tracts of country now occupied by a few savage hunters. By opening a whole territory between Tennessee on the north and Louisiana on the south to the settlement of the whites, it will incalculably strengthen the southwestern frontier and render the adjacent states strong enough to repel future invasions without remote aid." So of course, he's saying that we need to also to populate and settle that territory with strong white settlements so that we can avoid maybe the French or the Spanish or the British exploiting the weaknesses in that area. It will relieve the whole state of Mississippi and the western part of Alabama of Indian occupancy and enable those states to advance rapidly in population, wealth, and power. Mississippi is the poorest state in the country per capita per person. It's the poorest state in the United States of the 50 states. It also has the lowest vaccination rate against COVID-19. People are most skeptical and hesitant and ignorant regarding the COVID-19 vaccines in the state of Mississippi. It's also got about 40% of the population is African American. It will separate the Indians from immediate contact with the settlements of whites, free men from the power of the states, enable them to pursue happiness in their own way and under their own rude institutions, retard the progress of decay, which is lessening their numbers, and perhaps cause them gradually under the protection of the government and through the influence of good counsels to cast off their savage habits and become an interesting, civilized, and Christian community. These consequences, some of them so certain and the rest so probable, make the complete execution of the plan sanctioned by the Congress at their last session an object of much solicitude. So, of course, this isn't the first time the Indians have been moved out. I mean, Indian populations were being expelled long before 1830. But this was the first time it was a formal US government decision approved by Congress to approve what we call today ethnic cleansing, forcibly removing through force an entire cultural population from an area to take the land. And so I won't read the whole statement to you, but I think I will show you the Wikipedia entry for the Trail of Tears. So this is called the Trail of Tears because, of course, when these people were forcibly removed from their population, from their settlements, many died along the way. So let me make sure I share the screen. And so you see here's the Wikipedia entry for the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears is part of a series of forced displacements of approximately 60,000 Native Americans between 1830 and 1850 by the United States government, known as the Indian removal. Members of the Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw nations, including thousands of their black slaves. So lots of these Indian tribes had been copying the white settlers and purchasing and owning African Americans as slaves, were forcibly removed from their ancestral homelands in the southeastern United States to areas to the west of the Mississippi River that had been designated Indian territory. The forced relocation was carried out by government authorities after the passage of the Indian Removal Act in 1830. And so you're going to vote on whether or not we should approve the removal of the Indians. The Cherokee removal in 1838, the last forced removal east of the Mississippi, was brought on by the discovery of gold near Dahlonega, Georgia in 1828, resulting in the Georgia Gold Rush. And the relocated people suffered from exposure, disease, and starvation while en route to their newly designated reserve. Thousands died before reaching their destination or shortly after from disease. And so here is a nice little map of where the Indian tribes were settled. And you can see here that this is vaguely where these Indian groups were living: the Cherokee, the Creek, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, and they were to be moved west of the Mississippi here to the Indian Territory. This is Oklahoma. And here you see, this is the Mississippi River here. So you remove these people and move them here. And so let me go back and show you. I think I have some other PDF files. So I don't know if you can see that. So maybe I'll just make sure you share the screen so it does lock on. So this is basically where the Indian populations were living, according to linguistic markers. So you can see the Erie, the Susquehanna, the Shawnee. So, you know, some of you who go to the United States will see, even like in my home state in Ohio, there are lots of places in my home state of Ohio that have Indian names, but there are no Indians there, right? So Ohio is an Indian name. Erie, Lake Erie is an Indian name. There are towns and rivers named with Indian names, like the Ohio River, the Tuscarawas River that runs close to my home, the Nimishillen Creek, which runs through my home, towns like Coshocton. And these are all Indian names, but there are no Indians. They've all been assimilated or expelled or forced out. There are no reservations in Ohio. There are some elsewhere where identifiable Indian groups still live on forced reservations. And I think I wanted to show you on that. This is where was a big concentration, and these groups would be pushed out. And let me go back to I think that file that I mistakenly sent you, that I will open up now, and just to show you how this is a sensitive, controversial topic, because you see here at a high school football game, and this high school football team in the American South, in Alabama, right? This sign was present at McAdory High School football game this weekend in Alabama. They were playing the Penson Valley High School Indians. And they right here, hey, Indians, get ready to leave in a trail of tears, round two. Like, ha, 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 trail of tears, round two, as they play the other high school, the Penson Valley High School Indians is the name of their football team. And so this generated a lot of controversy and anger. And of course, there have been many high school teams and college teams and professional football, baseball teams named after Indians, using Indians as mascots. And there's a move to abolish that. So some of you might know, for example, that close to where I'm from in Cleveland, Ohio, the professional Major League Baseball team in Cleveland used to be called the Cleveland Indians. And I think the first Korean player to play in American Major League Baseball, he went to the Cleveland Indians. And a few years ago, they finally agreed to change the name because it was considered to be disrespectful to the American Indians to have that name. So I think I can show you here what Indian mascots. Here is the Wikipedia entry for it. And yeah, let me open that up here. And I wanted to show, they update these files. Okay, yeah, here. So you can make sure you can see this. So share screen, and here you see Cleveland, the old Cleveland Indians mascot in 1996. That's Chief Wahoo, red man with this stupid looking smile. They're no longer going to be called the Cleveland Indians. They announced a couple of months ago, they finally agreed on a new name for the baseball team, the Cleveland Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians, named after a bridge with Guardian statues in Cleveland, Ohio. And let's see if I can find another one. Redskins. The Washington football team used to be called the Redskins, and then they changed the name because that was considered to be disrespectful. And so now Washington, D.C. football team that represents the Washington capital of the United States no longer is called the Redskins. They're called the Washington football team until they can finally agree on what will be what will be the name for this franchise. So it's no longer called the Washington Redskins. They're just the Washington football team. Okay, and so that's preparation for Monday's class. So now what I want to do is to go stop share, and let's go to our class debate for today. And so I'm going to recreate the rooms into 6 rooms, because most of you were pro and some of you were con, and I have to assign manually. And so recreate, and I think pro will make you pro 1, pro 2, okay, pro 3, and pro 4, and Con 1 and Con 2. And I will assign people to this. So Sung Sung, let me see if I can find it doesn't really matter, you know. Here we go. And Park Ji-un, let me see Park Ji-un and Yoo Ji-yeon. Let me see if I can find Yoo Ji-yeon. See if I can do this fairly quickly here. And I don't see Yoo Ji here. I don't think Yoo Ji's here today. So I won't assign her to a room, obviously. What about Eon? Eon, okay. So, and then to room 2, I will send Kim Won-sok, and Pyeon Chung-woo. Where's Pyeon Chung-woo? I don't see Pyeon Chung-woo here. Maybe he's already assigned. Okay, what about Kim Chon-soo? And Shin Hae Hom. Okay, and assigned to pro room 3. Chung Min-ju. Just a second. Chung Min-ju. Where's Chung Min-ju? And Shin Min-ju. Oh, sorry. Kang Tong-un. Okay. And again, I don't see that person here. Okay. And so, and then to Pro 4, I don't know if we have any more to put in Pro 4. I think that's it. In Con, we will assign Kim Tong-yu and Kim Soo-hyun and Song Hyun-oh, if I can find him. Okay, and in Con 2, I will assign Song Hyun-oh, I already did that, Yoo Jae. Where's Yoo Jae? She's not here. What about Chang Ji-hyun? I don't see that person here either. Well, I'm going to assign you guys to Con, and I'm going to assign to Pro. I'm going to assign you two, and to and is everybody? Okay, so open all the rooms and please prepare your statements. Of course, Con is going to speak more often than Pro because Con has, there are fewer people that wrote for Con, that wrote paragraphs on Con and then wrote on Pro. So Con, be prepared to speak, Con, because you're going to speak a little bit more often. And the first person to speak, if it's heads, it's the top half of the group. If it's tails, it's the bottom half. And it is heads, so it's the top half of the group. And that means Park Ji-un, you're going to speak first for Pro. Kim Hwan-sok, you're going to speak first for Pro 2. Kang Tong-un, you're going to speak first for Pro 3. Join the groups, you guys. You guys got to join your groups. And Con, Kim Tong-yoon is going to speak first for Con at 1. And for Con 2, Tang Soo Hye-chin is going to speak first for Con 2. Okay. So,
Sir,
yeah.
I am UG1, and I think I should be in a Con, not in Pro.
Where's UG1? UG1, I don't see you here. Have you been assigned to a group?
No, I'm not yet, but I am in Pro 3 now, but I think I should go to Con.
Oh, okay, I'll move you to Con 2 then. Okay, move to Con 2.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else need to be moved? Okay. All right, so prepare your statements. And you wrote paragraphs, so now is a chance for you to speak in English. And so help the first person each group speak, prepare to speak first, okay? So talk to each other. And if you feel like you're not really prepared, like you can have someone else speak, but somebody be prepared to speak for each group. And the question, of course, let me remind us what the question is. I should, yes, remind us what the question is. And the debate topic is that it? That's not the right one. Close that, close that. Let me see, I have to open up the lesson plan. And again, the topic is, to South Koreans, the American Constitutional Convention ultimately failed because it did not prevent the Americans from fighting a bloody civil war almost, well, 80 years later. Did the American Constitution fail because it didn't prevent a civil war over slavery? And I should write a statement as well. So heads, I am pro. Tails, I am con. And I'm pro, it failed. I will write a statement that it failed. Okay. 10 seconds. Okay, so who's going to speak first for pro? Heads, it's pro 1, and it's tails. Heads, it's pro 2, and it's tails. So pro 3. So Kang Tong-un, make your opening statement as to pro in that the U.S. excuse me, that the U.S. Constitution did fail. Go.
Okay.
Turn on your video so we can see you too, please.
Wait. Okay. I think the revolution aimed for the white elite's interest only. So the not only the revolution, independence against England and the Constitution Convention were all for the white elite, we think. So the Constitution was a compromise between the slaveholding interest of the South and the money interest of the North. The exclusion of them is the reason why a civil war over slavery happened, we think.
Exclusion of who? The African Americans?
Slaves, blacks, women, indentured servants.
Okay, I'm not saying you're incorrect, but of course the response is, just for purposes of discussion, the African Americans did not declare secession and war to leave the United States in 1860. It was Southern white state governments controlled by white people declared their secession from the United States to create their own country, and they started the war. They fired first on the Northern Military Union forces at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. Black people didn't vote. They didn't declare anything. They didn't declare war. They didn't start the war. White people declared war on other white people. So how do you say that exclusion of Black people led to war? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want you to explain further, defend your statement. Can someone help her from Pro 3?
So we talked about slavery and its role within American history.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a ugly thing, isn't it? Slavery.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of ugly things in history. I mean, like we said, slavery's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It only became questioned about 300 years ago, 400 years ago. Well, yeah, maybe 500. I mean, Europeans were not enslaving other white Europeans. That stopped. I mean, you know, Roman Empire was based on slavery, and that was only 2,000 years ago. So you have 200,000 years of human history. And for 198,000 years of that, 200,000 years of Homo sapiens, you had some form of brutality and enslavement. So yeah, I mean, it looks ugly today, but how ugly did it look, you know, when Christopher Columbus came to the United States, or came to Hispaniola? I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think the question is, Kang Tong-un said that the Constitution was based upon a compromise between the Northern moneyed interests and the slave owning interests. And they came up with a compromise to create the US Constitution. And then that compromise was not sufficient to prevent those Southern slave owning interests from declaring war on the North, on the other white people, white centers of power in the North of the United States. So how can you argue that the US Constitution was not a failure? It was based upon the compromise, and then they made and it still didn't prevent a war. 80 years later, there was a war. And I'm not disagreeing with you. That's a response. So Khan, what is your opening statement? And so who's going to speak first for Khan? So heads, it's 1, it's 2. So Tung Shu He Jing, are you here? And if you can't, I don't know if you're prepared to speak. How about Own Tech? Own Tech, speak for Khan 2. What is your response?
The people outlined in federal constitution were basically discriminatory terms, mean wealthy white men. And
Yeah.
in the first place, the federal constitution was an unequal constitution.
Yeah.
The Civil War was also compounded not only by slavery, but also by other reasons such as economic reasons. However, as a result, the Constitution has failed because, however, the Civil War made a civil war has led to the abolition of slavery. So we think the constitution was not a perfect constitution. So it's not fair.
Yeah. Okay. And no constitution, you could argue, is perfect, right? By the way, Chung Sung Hyun, let me also point out, there's still slavery in Africa. I've seen it on TV, on news reports. It's still there. People are selling themselves into enslavement. It's going on right now in Africa. You go to YouTube, type in. I mean, I can go to YouTube right now and show you. You know, and you know that's the argument made that let me just show you, right? I mean, you gotta deal with the advertisements. I mean, this is I haven't looked at this video before, but this is the most recent form, and it's become more intense with the refugee crisis and people running away from their home countries with nothing. And so to get help, they sell themselves as slaves to get help from smugglers to send them to Europe. But there's also more common forms of slavery of people working in plantations to raise chocolate.
On this farm, we find Abdul. He survived 3 years of work. He's just 10. From the owner, at play. He tells us his story. When his father died, he said, eating chocolate.
So every time you eat chocolate, it might well be that chocolate was harvested by enslaved Black children who were sold by their family because their family could not support them to these other people who took them in to work on the chocolate plantations, the coconut plantations. Okay, so I mean, I have to remember we have a short class here, so we need to go back to the debate. And so pro will be pro one is heads and it's tails. So Kim Won Sok, give your pro statement as to why the U.S. Constitution failed. Kim Won Sok.
Okay. The American Constitutional Convention was only half successful in that it intensified domestic conflict. Although the abolition of slavery was proposed with the ideology that all human beings are equal, it did not take into account the views of the people of the southern regions who cultivate slavery. In other words, concrete measures were needed for those who were affected by the abolition of slavery. Also, even after slavery was abolished, blacks still lived with discrimination against whites. It also led to a power struggle between political parties in the United States over slavery. So I think the effectiveness of the American Constitutional Conference convention at that time was insignificant. Insignificant in that it failed to successfully stop the seeds of the conflict in the United States.
Okay. And Con 1, Kim Tong-hyun, what's your con statement that in fact the US Constitution did not fail? We cannot claim that the US Constitution failed because there was a civil war happening almost 90 years later. Kim Tong-hyun.
Yeah. I said, considering the time when the Constitution is signed, almost idea was focused on the white man and the problems about discrimination is so on even today. So in this perspective, I thought the Constitution Convention is not failed.
Okay. And let's see. I think we need Park Ji-yoon. Did you make your statement yet, Park Ji-yoon? Park Ji-yoon, you're pro.
Yes. Can I speak just my opinion?
Yeah, well, you wrote a paragraph pro. Yeah.
Well, other people might have different opinion with me, but I personally believe that the law was failed because I think the North and the South are North and the South had made the consensus about the slavery implicitly. So I think this law is failed.
Okay. Let me read my statement because we're out of time here. The U.S. I flipped a coin and it said I was supposed to be pro. So I wrote a pro statement. The U.S. Constitutional Convention failed because the system of government within the Constitution did not accommodate inevitable change peacefully. Change is inevitable. The question is, will that change within a community happen peacefully, or will there be conflict and violence in opposition to the change? Of course, the U.S. did not disintegrate and disappear. The North won the war. The United States was maintained, but after a bloody civil war. But the US Constitution was not as successful as, for example, the West German Constitution, which helped end the Cold War and reunited Germany peacefully without fighting a war to do that. So, all right, so to close up today's class, let me go back to the cyber campus and go back to vote and ask you to vote as to whether or not you think the US Constitution failed in preventing, because the American Civil War would happen almost 90 years later. So please vote. And we'll just do this for half a minute because I will have to close the class. And okay, well, that's it so far. All right, so I'll see you on Monday. Bye.